I was actually a technical writer with Deloitte in USI, that's in India. And I had a 4 years of break. When I moved to the US, I did not have work authorization. So when my work authorization happened last year, I did certification in technical writing, tried to get a job, but didn't happen because of Corona. But it was blessing in disguise for me, I would say, because it gave me motivation to do something else with my career. And I decided to do Salesforce because my husband is in SAP, and he motivated me a lot to try Salesforce. I was reluctant in the beginning, very reluctant, thinking it's not my cup of tea because it was very difficult as compared to what I was in. I was not from a technical line, so to speak of. So when I did Bradley's 5-day challenge, it gave me some, motivation that, yeah, this is something which I can try. So with my family support, I did my certification. That was really, I would say, very difficult. It was not easy. Getting that first certification is definitely tough. I know it, as you must have gone through the same. So yeah, I did that in December, and then life just started changing afterwards, because as soon as I started with, that was my first part-time, I would say. Then I started with Devo Group as a Salesforce administrator, my second part-time job, and then I started with Technopath, my third part-time job as a Salesforce admin again. And these three jobs were going together, and it was crazy, but my family supported me well. And I used to do one job in the morning, one in the afternoon, and one in the night after my kids used to sleep. But it helped me gain that much experience in 2 months, which I would have gained from one job in 6 months. So it helped me a lot, and I cracked my first full-time role with Caterpillars as a Salesforce business analyst in March. And then Deloitte happened, which where currently I'm working. Just happened through a program called Salesforce Consulting Select. And that time, it was the first iteration. They hadn't disclosed to us that it would be related to a job. So I had joined Deloitte earlier in the past twice. So I am like over enthusiastic for this firm. And I was like, okay, let me just join the program and learn something new, network with people. So I just joined like that, and turned out to be well, because I reached till the rounds of interviews. And then they disclosed that, it would be related to a job. So again, my first round, I just went with no preparation at all. And I was like, let's see what happens. It was a phone interview, I remember. And when I cleared the first round, then I got a little serious, because I thought, now next two rounds can seriously land me in a job with Deloitte. So I did some preparation around those, and currently working as a Salesforce consultant with.
That is crazy. You're already at Salesforce consultant. When we joined the Talent Stacker program, the original name was 60 in 6 months, but
Yeah.
you went straight into consulting from probably like 6 months, right? Start to finish, even faster.
Yeah, I think it has been 8 months or so. I joined it. So yeah, life has been moving so fast.
Oh my goodness. And you have kids. Are they young?
Yes. So my older one is 8 and little one is 4.
Oh my goodness. What are your time management skill, like advice and tips? Because obviously you're doing it right, and some secret.
Yep, definitely. So initially, when I had started studying for it, I had started sending my little one to daycare for half a day. But then when I started doing 3 part-time jobs, I started sending him to daycare for full day, right? That's how usually, my break time is in evening. Now also it's the same. I work till 5 o'clock typically, and then my lead knows that I would take a break, right? The people I work with, they know that Richa would log off at 5, and she would come back later in night if required. So I usually log off at 5. I focus time to my family, towards my kids, towards cooking, right? As I have to cook dinner around that time, and then my workout. So all these things happen in evening, and in night after my kids sleep, I again log in to study for my next certification, or to log in to do some, work related.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm slacking a bit. I know you're not supposed to compare yourself with others, but I don't have kids. I mean, I do cook all the time. Haven't been very good with the workouts. So wait, I'm still 1X certified. How many certifications do you have right now? Okay, admin, platform app builder.
No, I don't have platform app builder. I did advanced admin after admin. So that certification I did when I was preparing for it when I was doing 3 part-time jobs. I thought that if I have to take a job in admin, right, advantage would be to have another certification. So I did advanced admin, and then with Caterpillar, I had experience working primarily on Service Cloud. So my third certification was in Service Cloud because hands-on experience literally helps. And now I'm working on Einstein. So my fourth one was Einstein, Tableau CRM, and Discovery Consultant.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I'm studying for platform app builder right now, which I think you probably don't even need to study. You can just go ahead and take it. I wish I took it right after the admin exam. How difficult was advanced admin?
Advanced admin was difficult as compared to admin. But then at that time, I was very much enthusiastic, motivated, and all the time I was so much focused that I have to get a full-time role. I have to get a full-time role. I used to spend hours on my studies as well as finding a job, right? So even when I was doing those part-time jobs, my goal was to get a full-time role. So all these things went hand in hand. And yeah, of course, you cannot do it when you have kids. You cannot do it without your family support. So my kids were very supportive, and my husband too. So where I am right now is all because of them. If they would not have supported me, they would not have given time to me, and the way my husband took care of my kids, I would not have reached here. So all thanks to them. And of course, the Salesforce Ohana is so welcoming. If you have any doubts, any questions, I'm part of so many groups on LinkedIn. You can reach out to anybody, and everyone is so supportive. And
Yeah, the Salesforce Ohana is really, I've never experienced anything like it. And I don't know if you're part of it, but the Salesforce Ohana Slack group is
yep,
such an
I joined.
amazing
Yeah.
resource. I don't know if these MVPs are just hanging out all day waiting for questions, but every time I have a question, I go and ask and someone responds within minutes.
Oh,
It's
nice.
completely unreal. It's so fast, but wow, I'm really impressed. Just because I'm studying right now, I'm curious what your study plan is. Do you just say, hey, I'm going to study for this amount of time each day? Do you have a checklist you go through, any process you do to prepare?
Yep, definitely. So the 2 certifications I did recently, like with Deloitte, one was Service Cloud. Service Cloud, as I told you, I had already prepared and I had good hands-on experience with Caterpillar. So when I joined Deloitte, there was some program going on. And Deloitte encouraged us to get that certification, as every company invest in its employees, right? So I think having that goal in my mind helps me prepare better as compared to if I do not have a goal in mind. If somebody tells me, okay, you have to do that certification in 6 months, I would be like, okay, 6 months, big time period, we'll see. And I'll keep pushing things, right? But then when I have a goal in mind that I have to do this thing in 2 months, I know I have to divide my syllabus, right? What I have to work on, I would divide that, I would make my timetable, and I would have designated hours for my studies every day. Same thing happened for my Tableau certification. Again, Deloitte had some program going on, and there was a collaboration between Salesforce and Deloitte for Salesforce Days. I'm not sure if you've heard about it. So Salesforce Days, I participated and I won the first prize for doing the Tableau CRM certification. So it is amazing because I think with that motivation, when I have a date in my mind that I have to do this thing by this date, it helps, and I'm sure it would work with other people as well.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. Impressive of Deloitte to have their workshops that you attended too.
Some study groups as well, for a couple of certifications.
That's amazing. I think for me, that's what I did for the admin cert. I used the pacing guide from the Talent Stacker program. But then in the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I'm going to go for platform app builder and dev one. But then I never made a plan, and I didn't have anyone pushing me. So I kind of just like, I was like, oh, okay, if I have time at the end of the day, I'll study. Never ended up studying. I mean, I recently made a switch to study in the mornings when I'm most focused, which has been very helpful. But yeah, having a plan and a goal is, and then breaking that giant piece down into bite-sized pieces you can do daily is probably
Yeah.
a key thing I see a lot of successful people do. So let's switch topic and get back on your role as a Salesforce consultant. What are you doing? How many clients do you have? How is it different from being just an admin?
It's very much different from an admin. As an admin, I was all the time into the system and doing little tasks, whether it be about, data loading, or it be about reports and dashboards, or it be about change sets, right? Every little thing, I have done each and everything in my projects, those 3 projects I have done. But in Deloitte, what I'm doing is primarily gathering requirements. So I work as a bridge between the development team and the business or the stakeholders. So I gather requirements from the stakeholders, and then, I write user stories, and the requirements get converted into user stories, and then development team would be they would be doing the development. So the simpler stories which are related to reporting. So I'm primarily working on reporting and analytics team. As I told you, Tableau is something which I'm working on. So Tableau's complex changes are done by the development team. My role is just to gather requirements, and sometimes I will gather requirement, I'll go back to business, I'll go back to development team, they will have questions, I'll again go back to business. So this goes, I go back and forth between 2 teams, so to speak of.
Just one main client then, really. Yeah, I've been talking to other people. I don't understand how they juggle when they have multiple
Yeah,
clients. It gets confusing.
I have also heard the same from a couple of people that they have been dealing with 2 or 3 clients at the same time, and not sure how they manage. It's difficult. And especially, Anita, I feel you should be having that much time as well, right? Even if someone asks me to juggle between 2 projects, probably I can do that. But then you have to tell me that, okay, Richa, you will do 4 hours for one project, 4 hours for the next project. I'll be okay. But you cannot expect me to, getting confused and not knowing where to invest more time. So if the timelines are clear to me, then probably juggling can be interesting as well, because you'll get to work on more things, right?
That makes sense. So, big question that I ask everyone, do you still have imposter syndrome?
I used to have it in my earlier jobs, right? I used to think what people are talking. I used to Google that every time, because it's like, oh, someone said that. I don't know what is that. So I always have the habit of noting it down if I hear something new, and Google it out, and then, try to enhance my knowledge. So I did have that syndrome, imposter syndrome, earlier. Now I'm getting more and more comfortable with the wonderful team I'm working at Deloitte. Is definitely motivating, and I have learned a lot from the people I work with.
Was there a certain point or something significant you remember that kind of flipped the switch, like, oh, I don't need to feel like an imposter anymore? Maybe completing a certain number of projects, or maybe your manager or someone said something. Do you recall anything?
Yeah, I think getting into Caterpillar was one thing when I realized that I have cracked a full-time role. And I was so happy when I shared the news with Bradley. I remember it was the happiest day, because I imagine I had a break of 4 years, and it is a huge break, right? Struggling to get back into the workforce. I was so happy. That was first time when I realized that, okay, that's something which I have, a switch for me. Second time when Deloitte happened to me was it gave me a lot of confidence, because I was working as a Salesforce business analyst. And when I got into a Salesforce consultant role, definitely it was a level up, and I felt something I have achieved. So yeah, I would say these two.
Wait, let's rewind that to the 4-year gap. One, how did you cover that in your resume? And two, did anyone ask you about that?
So I did not cover anything in my resume. As I think I heard from a couple of people that people generally put, kind of a statement there in resume that if you were on a break for a couple of years, you would mention why you were on a break. For me, I typically, cleared this in my introduction. Every time I gave an interview, I cleared this in my introduction that I was not working for 4 years. When I got my work authorization, I started looking for a job. And when technical writing job didn't happen, I started studying Salesforce. So I used to make it clear up front in my introduction only that I have a gap. So it's not something to be ashamed of, something to hide. I can proudly say that I took a break for my kids, my family. I know I left Deloitte twice just to stay with my family because my husband was traveling all the time. And that's the time when I had my kids. I managed my time well, right? When my little one was born and when he was small and he needed me the most, I was on a break. When he turned 2.5 or so, I started studying again. And now my kids are so proud of me and they happily, my older one would typically say that my mom got back to Deloitte because because he was with me in India as well, right? So he feels very happy that I'm back to Deloitte.
That is incredible. You have no idea how many people ask me who are worried about, hey, I took time off to take care of my children, and they're just, everyone is so worried that that's going to count against them. But I mean, just being proactive, saying it up front, that's it. There's no follow-up
Yeah,
questions. People understand it's life. That's
definitely.
really, that'll be really reassuring to a lot of people out there. If you were to give yourself advice for when you first started your job, what would it be?
I think the advice I would give to anyone who is new in the job, I can typically think of my Salesforce admin job when I was a new person in that role. And as I told you, I had little bit of imposter syndrome as well. So that time I would like to give that advice that don't be hesitant to ask questions, ask around. People are there to help. They understand that you are new in that role. So I still remember I had a great experience working in all three of those part-time jobs, which are new to me because they were pretty new. The field was new to me. So getting certification is one thing, but hands-on experience is a different thing altogether, right? So when you study, it's a different thing, but when you work on that, when you Google things out, when you see how I'm going to make this requirement happen, this is a huge different altogether a different world, I would say. So yeah, the advice I would give is to don't feel hesitant to ask questions around. Ask questions. The Salesforce or HANA is huge. So you could find people in your job, right, who could be helpful. Some people who your co-workers who you are working with, or your leads, your people in the Salesforce or HANA. There are a couple of groups on LinkedIn, and as Anita you mentioned earlier, Slack channel, right? So anywhere that there are, and maybe your mentors, people you take advice from. So anyone can be your guide. For me, my initial jobs, my husband has always been my guide because he was into SAP CRM, as I told you. So he was into same kind of, stream as Salesforce is. In my initial jobs, I remember I always used to sometimes feel, oh my God, how I'm going to accomplish this? How is this going to happen? But then, yeah, he has clarified my concepts in the beginning and made me reach till here, where I am just, now handling things on my own completely.
Amazing. Going back to the Googling thing, I don't think people realize you're going to be Googling the rest of your career. It's impossible to know everything.
Yeah. And even if you know everything, you cannot expect that you studied the certification and you'll remember each and everything out of it, right?
No.
You need that brushing up of memory. How's your job going?
Yes, I am still a Salesforce business analyst. Have only been working with one client. They keep renewing their contract, so we must be doing something right. I love it. I'm so happy I switched careers. I mean, I was kind of forced into it because of the pandemic, but this versus hospitality it's just completely different. The work-life balance, being able to work remotely, I find the work more enjoyable. I tend to get into this flow state where time just passes by really quickly.
Amazing. So, and good luck for your next certification.
Thank you. What's next for you?
Probably I still have to decide because we have a disconnect coming up, planning a trip with family. So I'll start studying back in January. So maybe Sales Cloud or something related to Einstein. Still have to take a look and decide.
Well, good luck. Thank you so much.